Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of um, Trip Corner on the Go. Yes, it's another beautiful day. I'm glad it's not too sunny, so I don't need to wear sunglasses. And you can see me. That works for me. Well, this video is, well, I won't say out of sequence, but you may feel it's out of sequence. I'm latching on to something I talked about at the end of last month. Yeah, because there's a date that is very special to me that's coming up shortly. So please join me in the Pip Corner and you'll hear what exactly I'm talking about. See you in a bit. July, forgive my manners. Thank you for staying tuned. July 30th was the UN International Day of Friendship. Do you remember that? Okay. I'll put the link to my video for that day up there so you can catch up. As I think I mentioned, something very special that happened to me was being invited to Strangers on the Way podcast hosted by Lauren Hansen. I'll, I'll put a link to that up here too. And one of the things that she asked me was, do you have a favorite quip? And I, of course, told her it was difficult to tell her, what my favorite quip was, even though I shared one about leadership. But another thing that, as I mentioned in the friendship video, that is really dear to my heart is friendship. I mentioned in that video too that friendship was something that my parents taught me about. And when I say they taught me about it, I can't think of a time when, either parents, either my mother or my father, sat me down and said, this is how you choose your friend. This is who should be your friend. No, no, no. I really don't remember that. I'll be lying if I said that. But just observing them, I learned the importance of friendship. And that will tie into the quip we're reading today. We're reading a quip from my third book, which is 101 Quips and Quotes for, for tweens, teens, and 20s to win with. 101 Quips and Quotes for tweens, teens, and 20s to win with. And we'll be reading quip 30, which interestingly, I mean, July 30 was UN International Day of Friendship. So I guess if we didn't read it on that day, nothing wrong with reading it in August. And by the way, a special friend of mine, her birthday is coming up in a few days. So happy birthday. God bless you. I truly appreciate you. And this quick, you fit into it very nicely. Quick 30 says, the quality of friends is more important than the quantity of friends you have. Let's take it again. The quality of friends you have is more important than the quantity of friends you have. I'm sure we've heard that saying, quality over quantity, quality over quantity. The same thing applies to friends. I started off by telling you a bit about my parents and their friends. I can count on one hand how many friends I know that each of my parents had. I can count on one hand. I told you about Auntie T, Auntie Tolu, one of my mom's dearest friends who has remained very dear to my family and I to this day. I mean, she sends me happy birthday greetings for my husband and our children. She sends greetings on our wedding anniversary. My mother's friend, amazing woman. I can think of my father's friend. Actually, two of them. both justices um, who were at my wedding, my traditional wedding, showing up for their friend. They were also at, unfortunately, my mom's funeral, standing by their friend. Talking about friends, you know how for some people birthdays are important and for some people it's just another day? I remember a few years ago when we were celebrating uh, my dad's, my dad is of blessed memory now, but when we were celebrating his 75th birthday and we wanted it to be a surprise. Okay, don't worry, I'll get back to the quick. But let me just tell you the story quickly because it came to mind. So I need to say it. I need to say it. And I don't have to say it, but I really want to share it. And so my husband and I, we had planned with one of my cousins to say, okay, help us take care of the catering in the city. And then we were going to just arrive because we usually, now and again, we just show up at his door and say, oh, we've come for lunch. It would be a 3 hour drive or 2 hour drive, depending on how fast my husband is driving, of course. But, would show up and say, we just came for lunch. And then after that, we'll pack up and go back. So we had planned, we're going to bring the cake and everything. And we had reached out to specific people, including his friend that we knew. And interestingly, my dad was just going about his day. And all of a sudden, people just started showing up in the house. Now, my dad was someone who he always remembered my birthday. But for whatever reason, he didn't really remember his own. So even that morning when we said, Happy birthday, Daddy, he said, Same to you to us. And we're like, no, no, no. Same to you is the wrong answer when someone says happy birthday. So of course he corrected himself. But later that day, people just started showing up. People just started showing up. And did I mention that we brought the cake? So of course we had to guard the kitchen because we didn't want him opening the fridge and finding the cake there, and then the surprise would have been all ruined. So his friend then came, and at this surprise party, his friend mentioned it's actually my birthday too. Now, these are two men who had been friends since high school, only to find out over 50, maybe 60 years later that they shared a birthday. But the takeaway from this was even though it was his friend's birthday too, he showed up for my dad. Friendship. So it's not about having a zillion friends because maintaining friendship is work. I mean, my friend whose birthday is in a few days' time, you can ask her. Actually, if you have been watching the video, you may know who I'm talking about. Maintaining friendship is work. So you might as well focus on quality, not quantity. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that a man with many friends may be destroyed or may come to ruin. I'll look for it and add it somewhere, maybe within this video. First thing you do is choose your friends very carefully. And everybody cannot be your friend. So don't ever think that everybody has to be your friend. Yeah? Remember? It's always, always quality over quantity when it comes to many things in life, including friendship. Like my parents, I can count the number of friends I have on one hand. Okay, maybe a few other fingers. But do I have up to 10? Well, I have more than 10 friendly people. But if we're talking about friend, less than 10. I'd love to hear from you though. How many friends do you have? Or are you one who's just like, everybody come inside? There's nothing wrong with being friendly, but recognize that there's a difference between being friendly and um, having friends. Get what I drift? One more story before I go. My husband often tells us the story of how when he was in high school, they asked them to write an essay of who their best friend was. And so my husband was really thrilled to write about his best friend for whatever reason. But I think God just wanted him to find out. He saw his best friend's essay, and somebody else was his best friend's best friend. Needless to say, he sure learned something from that. So it's once again one thing to know. Oh, the other thing I just realized is the blouse I'm wearing, I got from one of my friends who, like I said, I can count on one hand. A different friend from the one who I said happy birthday to. And this friend that gave me this is a very, very, very dear friend. He knows that. I'm sure you do, darling. You do. All right, you know yourself, right? I love you. I appreciate you. And to all of you who are my friends, I can reel off some of the letters in your names, but I may be giving away too much. You know yourself. I appreciate you. Thank you for being part of the quality that adds value to my life. Oh, as I was saying when I was trying to wrap up today, share with us, how do you make friends? How many friends do you have? What are your thoughts on this again? I look forward to meeting from you and the interaction.